Hey guys, welcome back to more Reddit relationship stories. Imagine being treated like Cinderella your entire life, doing all the chores, paying the bills, filing taxes at 13 while your brother plays video games. Then one day your dad tells you that nobody would care if you vanished. So I vanished and chaos erupted. My family deeply regretted their decision. The title story starts like this. My entire life, my family treated me like I was Cinderella. I grew up with my two parents and older brother, he's 3 years older than me, and we come from a deeply misogynistic background, and because I'm a woman, my family has always treated me like a mate more than a loved one. My family made me do everything, and I mean everything. I would always be the one doing the laundry, cleaning the house, etc. By the time I was 13, I knew exactly how to pay bills, how to file taxes and all of that. My family didn't want to waste money by hiring a maid or an accountant for things like that, so they just put all the pressure on me instead because apparently that is what I was supposed to do. It was my role. I always tried getting my brother to do things because he was older than me, but he would always just play games and tell me to get out. Eventually I got used to it and had been dealing with it until recently. I'm 24 now, and at the time that this story begins, I was still living with my parents because staying anywhere is so insanely expensive. It was Labor Day and my family was hosting a barbecue. We had our extended family over, some aunts and uncles of mine, and as usual, I was taking care of everything. I enjoy cooking, but not when someone is forcing me to it. I had to wake up insanely early and marinate the meat by myself, prepare all the buns and sides, etc. I even had to go buy extra charcoal because we were running out. Luckily, my dad took over cooking because he doesn't trust me to grill anything, but I didn't even get a moment's rest. Even at the barbecue, I was scrambling around getting food for everyone, feeling like a waitress while they were telling me everything they wanted me to get for them. I had to clean up everyone's trash, and at some point someone left the plates on the floor. Still, it was something I was already used to, so while I was exhausted, I had started learning not to care. I finally got a moment's rest when everyone started playing games, so I decided to help myself to some food. The food was set up near the grill, which was where my dad was standing. As I was helping myself, my dad was looking at me funny for some reason, like he was surprised or disgusted that I was eating food. I asked him why he was looking at me like I did something wrong, and he said that I should be helping my family. I kind of got annoyed and said that they were playing games and that I'd already been helping them so much throughout the day. I asked him if I could not at least get some food, and he kind of shrugged. Then he said something crazy. He looked straight at me and said, "If you disappeared tomorrow, no one would care." He was decently drunk, so as mean as it was probably what he honestly thought. I was really shocked, so I just took my food and left, eating at the front of the house, where no one else was. My mind was still reeling, and at first I was honestly really hurt by the comment. I mean, who wouldn't be? My dad just told me that I could basically die and no one would even cry, but very soon that hurt changed and I began to feel incredibly angry and resentful. After all, I had been the one taking care of everyone for over a decade of my life. I had never even gotten a single word of thanks. They were so used to what I did for them that they wouldn't know just how much they would miss me. I decided that I would prove my dad and my entire family wrong. When the barbecue was finally done, I finished all of my chores as soon as possible and then went into my room and started packing. Within a few hours, I had packed everything I couldn't live without and was out of the house. I stayed at a friend's place while I began looking for a place to stay. Eventually, I learned that a college friend of mine moved to another state halfway across the country for a work opportunity. I realized that this was my chance and decided I would stay with her. I'd been saving money from my part-time retail job for years, knowing I would eventually need to escape, so I had enough to cover my share of rent and expenses. I called my retail manager that night and quit effective immediately. I knew I would be burning that bridge, but I didn't care. I started applying for jobs in my new city immediately, and within a week I was halfway across the country living with my friend. At first nobody texted me, nobody called, like my dad said, nobody cared. But then about 4 days after I initially left, I began receiving countless texts and phone calls. I ignored all of them, of course, and eventually decided to block the numbers themselves. When that didn't work, I started receiving DMs from things like Facebook and Instagram. I didn't have the most private settings, so they were able to find me. I blocked those accounts too. I was honestly a little curious about what happened with my family, but because I had blocked them on everything, I was not really getting any updates. Thankfully, I had a loyal cousin who still lived nearby and visited them regularly, and she let me in on all the drama. For one, my family was having the hardest time adjusting to me being gone. My parents had gotten so accustomed to being lazy and not doing anything that having to actually get up and clean the house or do the laundry was genuinely strenuous to them. It wasn't like they were exhausted though, they were genuinely just lazy and didn't want to do anything at all. But the one struggling the most was my brother. His entire life either I've been taking care of him or my parents have, and he doesn't know how to do anything. Cook, clean, do laundry, fold clothes, nothing. So when I left, he was lost and my parents, who were already cleaning so much, didn't want to deal with him. He was just completely in the dark and had to learn everything himself. Even then though, he would try to learn and just quit, giving up almost immediately. And yet there's more. The biggest blow to my family would come later. Remember when I said I handled everything, including taxes and paying bills? Yeah, well, that would be their downfall. Bills and fees were not things that were on their mind. It hadn't been for over a decade because I had to handle everything by myself. About 2 months after I left, they missed enough payments that their power got cut off. Shortly after, the water was shut off too, and they were eventually able to pay the bills and get services restored, but they had forgotten something important: the HOA fees. Now, I'm not talking about property taxes. We lived in an HOA and we do have to pay HOA fees or else we are at risk for our house being foreclosed on. The HOA can place a lien on the property and eventually foreclose on it if the fees are not paid, similar to a mortgage foreclosure. I always dealt with these HOA bills along with everything else, and this time around, my parents had completely forgotten about it. Again, it's not something they really think of, so they don't actively have it on their minds. Nearly 9 months passed and they did not pay the HOA fees. The HOA had sent multiple certified letters and regular mail, filed a lien against the property, and eventually initiated foreclosure proceedings. By the time my parents realized what was happening, it was too late to stop it. Apparently, they were given a final foreclosure notice and were absolutely livid. I only knew about this because a message from an unknown number texted me, and it turned out to be my mother. She was blaming me for being the reason why the house was being foreclosed on and said I should have told them about the bills. I immediately blew up on her, saying that this had been my responsibility since I was 13 and that it was their turn to finally start taking care of things instead of forcing me to do it. I ended it with, "I thought nobody would care if I was gone," before blocking her. After that, the house was foreclosed. My parents and brother had to go stay with my aunt, and that caused a whole slew of problems. My extended family immediately sided with my parents and began bombarding and harassing me, telling me I was a horrible daughter and a bunch of other nasty stuff. Of course, my parents had spun the story to make themselves look like the victims, never mentioning how they treated me all these years. I ignored all the comments and blocked every single one of them. Honestly, I couldn't care less. I always thought about abandoning my family because of how they treated me, but I never acted on it until now. I thought I would be a lot more apprehensive and regretful about it, but I don't care at all. I'm satisfied. After years of being treated like the dirt beneath their feet, they are finally getting the karma they deserve. And honestly, I'm glad to see them struggle for once. It's what I had to do for years living there, and now they can finally feel how I did. However, some of my friends said that I'm actually the a-hole here for abandoning my family, but I'm not sure if that's true. What do you think, Reddit? Was I an a-hole for doing this? And yeah guys, let me know in the comments what you think about this story. Do you think OP was an a-hole here? Or not. And by the way, after we read the comments, there will be an update to the story. Also, while you're at it, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and please like the video because that would help me tremendously since YouTube is giving me a hard time at the moment. Anyway, comment number 1, I'm sitting here with tears in my eyes because this hit way too close to home. My family pulled similar crap with me, and reading your story felt like looking in a mirror. Your father looked you in the eye and told you that if you died nobody would care. Let that just sink in. That was not just cruelty, that was him telling you exactly what you meant to them. You were never their daughter, you were just free labor for them. They didn't forget about bills, they chose not to learn because they had you as their personal slave. For 11 years since you were 13 years old. Do you know what I was doing at 13? Playing with friends and worrying about math homework. You were managing an entire household and filing taxes. The people calling you selfish or saying you should have warned them can F right off. You know what's selfish? Treating your daughter like Cinderella for over a decade and then acting shocked when she leaves. They literally told you nobody would care if you disappeared, so you did just that. They got exactly what they asked for, and now they are homeless and it is your fault? No, they are homeless because they are grown adults who refuse to learn basic life skills because they had a child to exploit. That is on them. Stay strong, OP. Comment number 2, you're the a-hole and I'm prepared to be downvoted into oblivion for this. Look, I get it, your family treated you badly. Your dad said something cruel while drunk. That sucks, and I'm not minimizing that, but you literally let your entire family lose their home. You knew they didn't know how to handle the bills, you knew this, and you just left without a word, without even leaving a note about the HOA fees or setting up autopay or something. You had 9 months where you could have sent one anonymous email saying, hey, don't forget the HOA fees. That's it, one email, but you chose not to because you wanted revenge. Your parents are flawed, yes, but they raised you, put a roof over your head, fed you, and your brother is your brother. And now they're all homeless and you're satisfied. That's cold, really cold. Also, 2 wrongs don't make it a right. You had every right to leave and go no contact. Letting them lose their house when you knew it would happen, that crosses a line from protecting yourself to active revenge. I know this is an unpopular opinion here, but someone needs to say it. Everyone sucks here would be more fair, but honestly, the level of calculated revenge here pushed it to YTA for me. Edit, yes, I read the part where her dad said nobody would care. It was cruel, but being cruel back doesn't make you not the a-hole. It makes everyone the a-hole. Comment number 3, everyone sucks here, and hear me out before you downvote, your family absolutely 100% sucks. They treated you like a servant and exploited you from age 13, they verbally abused you and they created a misogynistic household where you had zero value except as free labor. Your dad's comment was unforgivably cruel, they are the primary a-holes here, and I want to be crystal clear about that, but you watched them lose their house. Not because you left, you had every right to leave, not because you went no contact, you had every right to do that too, but because you specifically chose not to give them a heads up about something you knew would destroy them financially. Here's where I land, you don't owe them your labor, you don't owe them your presence, you don't owe them a relationship, but letting them become homeless when one text could have prevented it, even an anonymous one, crosses from self-preservation into revenge. I'm not saying you should have stayed, I'm not saying you should have done their bills, I'm saying that somewhere in those 9 months you could have sent one message saying, don't forget the HOA fees. That's it, not because they deserved your help, but because you're not the kind of person who lets people become homeless when you could prevent it within 10 seconds of effort. The schadenfreude in your post, I'm glad to see them struggle, is concerning. I get the anger, I really do. But being happy about people's homelessness is not the flex you think it is. And now we got an update to the story that goes like this. It's been 5 years since I posted my original story and I've gotten a lot of messages asking for an update. I wasn't sure I would ever come back to this account, but I'm in a reflective mood today and honestly, I think some of you deserve to know how things turned out. Especially those of you who sent me encouraging messages when I was at my lowest. So my family lost their house, moved in with my aunt, and were absolutely livid with me. The harassment from extended family was intense for a while, nasty messages, voicemails calling me selfish, ungrateful, a horrible daughter. My aunt even tried to contact my friend to get her to talk sense into me, but it didn't work. My friend, I will call her Sarah, was incredible. She would text me at 7 PM and say, you know what, you don't have to do laundry right now, right? Because she would catch me stress cleaning the apartment. Old habits die hard. I would wake up at 6 AM in a panic thinking I needed to make breakfast for everyone, and then I'd remember I only had to take care of myself. Therapy helped. I found a therapist who specialized in family trauma, and she helped me understand that what I experienced was parentification and gender-based abuse. Hearing those clinical terms for what I went through was validating in a way I cannot describe. It wasn't just my family being strict, it was abuse, and the job search was rough at first though. I was applying everywhere and I ended up taking a position as an administrative assistant at a mid-sized marketing firm. It was not glamorous, but it paid the bills and my boss was kind. More importantly, nobody treated me like a servant. When I stayed late to finish a project, my boss actually thanked me and told me to take comp time the next day. I almost cried. The concept of being appreciated for my work was foreign to me. I realized to my family I would always be the maid who abandoned her post. They were not sorry for how they treated me, they were sorry that they lost their free labor. There's a difference, and understanding that difference set me free. At work I was excelling, I got a promotion to office manager and then another one to operations coordinator. I was good at organizing, managing schedules, handling complex logistics. All those skills I'd learned managing a household since age 13 were actually valuable in the professional world. The difference though, I was getting paid, I was getting respect, and I could leave at 5 PM and not think about work until the next morning. I also started dating. That was terrifying. My first boyfriend was nice enough, but I realized I had no idea how to be in a healthy relationship. I kept trying to do everything for him, his laundry, his cooking, managing his schedule, and he finally sat me down and said, "I like you, but you're not my mom. I can do my own laundry." We broke up amicably a few months later, but it was a learning experience. The biggest drama in year 3, though, was my cousin's wedding. The same cousin who had been feeding me information about my family. She was getting married and invited me, and she also, unfortunately, invited my parents and brother. I almost did not go, but this cousin had been loyal to me and I wanted to support her. So I went and I prepared myself for confrontation. It was surreal seeing them again. My dad looked older, grayer, more tired, and my mom had cut her hair short. My brother looked exactly the same, honestly, like he'd been frozen in time. They saw me at the reception, my mom started walking towards me, and I felt my whole body tense up. My cousin's husband, who knew the whole story, intercepted her and very politely but firmly told her that if she caused a scene, they would be asked to leave. My mom looked at me with these wounded eyes, like I was the one who wronged her. I held my head high, enjoyed the wedding, and left early. I did not give them a chance to talk to me. I didn't owe them that. My cousin called me the next day to apologize for the awkwardness. I told her she had nothing to apologize for. It was her wedding and she had every right to invite her family, but I also told her I wouldn't be attending any future events where my parents would be present. She understood, and then 2 years ago, I met Daniel. He is a software engineer, quiet and thoughtful, and he treats me like an equal partner. When I first started dating him, I had this compulsion to prove my worth by doing things for him. He noticed and asked me about it. I broke down and told him everything, my family, the abuse, just all of it. And you know what he did? He held me while I cried and said, "You don't have to earn love. You're enough just as you are." I didn't believe him at first, but he showed me consistently over time. We split chores 50-50. When I'm tired, he cooks. When he's overwhelmed with work, I pick up the slack. It's a partnership, not servitude. It's what I deserved all along. Last year then, I got promoted again. I am now a senior operations manager, making more money than I ever dreamed of when I was living in my parents' house. I have my own apartment. Daniela and I are not moving in together yet, we are taking things slow, and it's decorated exactly how I want it. I have a reading nook, I have plants that I actually keep alive, I have a life, and I also started advocating for others who experience parentification. I volunteer with a local organization that helps young adults escape abusive family situations. I'm not a therapist, but I can help with the practical stuff, how to budget, how to find affordable housing, etc., how to stand firm when family tries to guilt you into coming back. It is healing for me, helping others escape what I escaped. 6 months ago, I got a letter, not an email, not a Facebook message, an actual physical letter forwarded through my cousin. It was from my father. He was writing to tell me that he had been diagnosed with early-stage lung cancer. It was treatable, he said, but he was reflecting on his life and wanted to make amends before it was too late. He said he was sorry for how he treated me. He said he understood why I left, and he said I would like to talk. I read the letter exactly once, and then I threw it away. Because here's what I have learned in 5 years. An apology is not just words, it's changed behavior, it's taking accountability. It's acknowledging the harm you caused without making excuses. My father's letter was full of passive voice, mistakes were made, things were said. He never once specifically acknowledged what he did. He never said, "I treated you like a servant and that was wrong." He never said, "I told you no one would care if you disappeared and I was cruel and wrong." He wanted absolution. He didn't want to make amends. He wanted to feel better about himself before he died, and I don't owe him that. And the next one is an entitled parents story that is titled, "My aunt asked me to give my graduation money to her son." Family helps family. You know the phrase. This just happened last year. I graduated from UNLV, nothing huge, just a small backyard thing with some friends and family. I got like $500 total in cards from people, some cash, couple gift cards, super appreciated. Next day, my aunt, my mom's sister, calls me and goes, "So, you gonna share some of that money with Jordan?" Jordan is her 20-year-old son, who dropped out of college last year and hasn't really been doing much. I laughed at it first, thought she was messing around. But she was like dead serious, and she said something like, "You know he's been struggling and you're lucky to graduate. It would be nice if you pass some of that along." I told her no, it was a gift for me, and she got weird and said I was acting brand new, and then hung up. Then told my mom that I was selfish. My mom just said, "Well, then maybe your kid should graduate first." The whole thing was so weird. I have not heard from Jordan either. Before we end the video, let's read a brand new, satisfying malicious compliance story that you don't want to miss. It is titled, "So, insurance company, you won't give me a letter with a clean driving record?" Sure thing. So I was grumbling about insurance companies in another thread and led me to this memory. So at the time, my wife was driving in Toronto many years ago, and at an intersection she waited at the red light and then the advanced green left arrow lit up and she started turning left. Other vehicles coming the opposite direction also had the same green left arrow for them to turn left. It's pretty standard stuff, everyone has been through those while driving. Well, unfortunately, the driver coming straight the other direction was not paying attention. He saw the vehicle next to him start moving, turning left, so he did too, going straight through the red light and crashing into my wife. So then I called the insurance company. I'm thinking, this is a pretty straightforward case, right? I mean, my wife was legally turning left, but he ran a red light and hit her. Nay, they tell me, my wife was turning left, so regardless of right of way, she is deemed equally at fault. She apparently should have anticipated someone would run the red light and waited to make sure that he was going to obey the law. I grumbled, but they stood firm. That ruling was horse poop, but it wasn't a fight I was gonna win. The damage was mostly cosmetic to the side of the car, $4,000 to repair, but the car was perfectly drivable and wasn't unsafe. And by the way, guys, I'm not sure if OP meant to say drivable or derivable, because derivable I've never heard before. Anyway, it was also an older second vehicle we rarely drove anyways, so instead of getting it repaired and watching my rates subsequently go up 100% for the next 5 years, we shrugged and told the insurance company that we wouldn't claim it and just take care of it ourselves. Fast forward 9 months and we are moving somewhat unexpectedly to another province. My insurance company does not have jurisdiction in that province, so I need to change companies. I do, and new company wants a copy of my clean history from the old insurance company. When I contact old insurance company, the female employee at the counter tells me that they cannot give me a clean driving record because we were in an at-fault accident, so they will have to tell the new insurance company that. I give them my best, are you freaking kidding me? Look, but she refuses to budge. Rules are rules and it would be dishonest. Rules are rules, huh? Well, okay. I go home and I look up the company's rules. It seems that I have 1 year to process a claim. I come back an hour later and smile at the nice lady. I tell her that if I'm going to get held liable for the accident on my record, I damn well might as well fix it. I will have it fixed, get a rental car throughout, and basically run the repair bill as high as I legally can. And then I will send a notice to the company head office explaining what I did and why I did it, advising them that I admired their integrity, reading her name tag Miss Karen Smith, in not providing the letter even though you cost your company over $5,000 in unnecessary expenses. I got a long pause. Well, maybe we can find a workaround. And 10 minutes later, she ended up providing me a letter stating that I had a claims-free driving history with the old insurance company. Not accident-free, claims-free. That satisfied the new insurance company and life went on. Damn, insurance companies are really the devil. And yeah guys, thank you for watching. Please don't forget to like the video and I will see you again tomorrow.